Alright,
Okay.
well, welcome back to more Metroid Prime. Um, right off the bat, I'm sure the first thing you can tell is there's no game audio. That's because we went through all of Geothermal Core, co-commentating just as we normally do. It took, I think, like 4.5 hours. It was terrible,
Was
and
it actually 4.5? I
uh,
thought it was like 3.
no, it was 4.5.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, we spent 4.5 hours on it. I determined that the majority of the footage was very boring, and I realized that the way I could shorten it down and just kind of get to the meat of it was I could remove every time I made a load state, and that chopped it down by quite a bit. But the problem is, in doing so, like our commentary wasn't going to work anymore because our commentary was chopped to pieces. So
It it didn't exist anyway.
no, not really. It wasn't.
Basically, we talked about stuff for the first like maybe 15, 20 minutes,
Yeah,
and then it just kind of derailed.
yeah, pretty much.
And then I basically just like kind of sat there and wasn't even watching the game after a while.
Yeah, which it was really boring, so I don't blame you at all. So it's okay. I'm hoping that because I'm chopping it down and like condensing this, it'll be more viewable. But anyway, first what we're doing here is trying to clip out of bounds. The way you do that is you hop on this monitor, and I've actually shown this before. You hop on this monitor, and you have to jump up and to the right at this specific route, and for some reason you just hold up and right and it just pushes you out of bounds like this. No
Because
idea
Metroid
why.
Prime.
Yeah, that's the game. Then you get stuck on the roof, so you have to like hop your way from room to room, getting each room to load by like fidgeting around at the door, which we'll see in a bit. And you just kind of do that for 4.5 hours, and then you get there. Now, granted, it only took this long because I'm new to this and I suck. Uh, the material that I used for reference to figure out how to do this only took 30 minutes to do the entire thing, so I just sucked. But at the same time,
It's not very well explained.
no, there's no information on how this works. And after having done this, I feel like I kind of almost feel like now that wall crawling is an acceptable alternative to certain like stupidly hard tricks because I'm just more, comfortable with how it works. Like there actually is underlying logic to this stupid madness that's going on. But it's hard to explain. You just kind of have to like bash your head against a wall long enough to figure out on your own just kind of how it works. But yeah.
Yeah, I remember I remember there being a lot of fun with the invisible shelves.
Yeah, that's the weirdest part that I still don't fully understand.
Oh, there's a Grisby.
There is a Grizzlebeard.
But so yeah, there's invisible shelves. There's forcing rooms to unload in order to make the game not crash when you open a new door. There's fidgeting around the door long enough until it opens.
Which isn't all that bad.
There's
That
just
kind of just works.
there's so much stupid crap that goes into this, and
There is.
just remember the alternatives are the ridiculously impossible dash jump, the rodeo jump that is apparently not that difficult, but we couldn't really figure out, and the floaty jump trick, which involves freezing a flying pirate, using him to get out of bounds, and then taking damage during a cutscene to get super high moon jumps, and then take that into the other room.
Yeah.
Which, yeah.
No.
So,
But yeah, that's so I kind of feel like this actually is the easiest of the methods in execution. It's definitely not the shortest, and speedrunners definitely don't do this. Or at least they usually don't do it this way. They usually do it a different way if
yeah,
you
I mean,
have other stuff accessible to you, which I don't because this is 22%. So
yeah, I mean, it's the only reason you ever have to do it this way is for 21, right?
yeah, that's
Because
right.
you need
21% is the only way that the only method in which this is mandatory because in that case you don't have the space jump. And going out of bounds and wall crawling like this never actually needs it. It sure speeds it up and makes it easier to get around, but you don't need space jump to do anything outside of bounds that you could do otherwise. So there it is. And
Yeah.
I kind of talked over it, but as you saw, I kind of fidgeted around on top of the door, and I'm still kind of doing that because it's not enough to fidget around on the door and get the next room to load. That's not good enough. You have to make sure that the map in the upper right corner follows you along and the game actually recognizes that you're in that room.
Yeah,
Otherwise, like, if the game can't have 3 rooms loaded at a time, so if you have the previous room still loaded, the next one just won't, or it will and the game will freeze, so...
As we saw with Vent Shaft.
Yeah, Vent Shaft, we experienced that, and I almost wish that I was able to do this before. Well, I guess I could have done this before that, but I kind of wish that I did, because then it would have almost made Vent Shaft Out of Bounds trivial, because at least that was 2 rooms. This is like 25.
Yeah. Yeah, this is pretty freaking bad.
Yeah. So what I'm doing right here is like I'm walking around trying to find this invisible shelf, which I just found. It's like it's a point a certain distance away from any part of the map that like the game considers as being the wall, and like when you jump you stick to the wall if you're out of bounds. So you use this, and basically you like walk closer and closer to where you would fall off this ledge. You jump, you gain some height, and then you move back to the right or left, whichever way you're doing it, and you just keep doing this, and you gain altitude with it. And that's basically how you get anywhere with wall crawling, because otherwise you can't... Oh, hello. I thought I cut that out. Guess not. Oh, well.
How dare you?
Yeah. Took very long time to edit all this down, too.
Yeah, I imagine.
Like, this 30 minutes we're watching right now was originally an hour. And it didn't take me an hour to edit. It took me a lot longer. Because it was constantly pause, cut, move, film, adjust.
Right. Enhance.
Enhance. Increase quality.
Zoom in on the video footage so much that you can see a reflection of a guy in another car and make out his eye color.
Yeah. Wasn't there something in an episode of Monk that was like that, where like they zoomed in on a reflection of a mirror or something?
I don't know. I mean, there was the episode where like the super scientific like tech people came in and tried to take care of the job.
Yeah.
And, like Monk learned how to computer, and
I like that
the
one.
stupidest freaking part of that episode was when he like was in an AIM chat with like oh god, what the hell's her name? Natalie's daughter.
Julia.
Yeah, like Julie's like
Julia.
an IM chat with her friends, and they like type an address, and this somehow throws off their searches, and they like are like, oh, that's the address, that's where the guy is.
Yeah.
So like just the SWAT team goes to this house, and then they bitch at him for like being in this chat in the same room. Like, what? That doesn't even make sense.
It doesn't make any amount of sense. But that's yeah. I really wish that people who or TV show developers, writers, and producers would do a little bit more research if they're going to start to get techie. But at the same time, we're both a little biased because we both know that doesn't make any sense, and I don't necessarily think the average viewer would.
But I mean, like, my thing is, like, I'm not a technical person, really. Like,
you're more technical than the average. You have to admit that.
I suppose.
You use the computer a whole heck of a lot more. You understand generally how networking works better. You at least understand how it works. Do I need to remind you of the phone calls you get at work of people very clearly not understanding how this works?
I can't load my Xfinity.
Yeah.
Like, okay, what do you mean by that? I can open my Google and my Yahoo, but not my Xfinity. I'm like, sir, what the fuck do you mean? Like,
see, that's exactly it. You have a concept of how the internet works. I'm not saying the average viewer doesn't. I'm just saying we're biased, but one way or another.
Yeah.
So I like how we talked over this for maybe 5 minutes, and now we're just...
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing else to say.
There isn't. It's just this.
Like, there was a lot of debate over what we do with this footage,
and
my vote actually went to just, like, playing a different game down in the corner while we watch this.
Yeah,
like,
and I thought about that for a while, and I tried to think about, like, what we would do, but then I worried about, like, part of the thing that I wanted to make sure happened with this series was that tricks were at least somewhat explained, or you got to see how I do them very clearly, because there's a very, very large lack of explanation on how this stuff works on the internet. So I wanted this to be more of a fun LP, but also kind of a here's how some of these tricks work type of thing. And I was worried that if we did that, then I wouldn't be paying any attention to the footage, and I would just be missing stuff.
Right.
Otherwise, yeah, totally would have done that.
So to basically restore what was in the original commentary of this, I know that basically I went through the list of stuff that I was using in randomized crystal, because I don't think those had been read out on screen yet.
I don't remember, actually.
Because there was the one video where I talked about the other stuff, but like the ones that you did, but I don't think I read out any of mine.
Possibly, if you want to go ahead and do that. I mean, I could use a refresher. I know they're great.
Some of them are kind of shit, but yeah, I'll get that up in a minute. There was that. Then there was basically trying to come up with nicknames for my Pokemon X team.
Yeah.
Which is a good gauge of how long it's been since we did this, because we were recording this before I had started that playthrough, and when I was just basically figuring out what to do with it. And now I'm almost done with it. I'm currently saved outside of Victory Road, just like not wanting to progress because I have to EV train everything, and it's a pain in the ass.
Well, are you EV training because you want to, or are you EV training because you think the Elite Four will be hard? Because in this gen, they're really not.
It's a bit of both, because the thing is, I want to actually get through it without over leveling everybody. I think they're currently at like 57, 58, and I imagine they'll probably get to 60 when I get through Victory Road, if not a little bit higher than that. But You have to remember, I'm using complete shit.
That's true, yeah.
So I've mentioned this in my Green Mario hack videos, but for anybody not watching those, or just, I mean, because it would make sense to explain it, the team I am using...
Wait, before you read out that list, I want to pause you for a second, because I have something to explain here. This room with the behind me right now with the lava pillar in the middle, or whatever the heck that is, this is an area where on my first attempt of Geothermal Core I actually got stuck, and the reason is I couldn't get this room behind me to unload. Earlier I went back into the middle of that room to get this next room to even load at all, because I had to unload the room previous to it. Then in this room, you have to get that lava pillar room to unload. And in order to do that, I don't know exactly where the trigger points are, but they're basically somewhere over on the opposite end of the room, kind of underneath it for some reason. Or at least that's like the only one that I could find that was easy to access. So I think we're actually going to see in a second here that I'm going to climb up, then I'm not going to be able to load the next room, and I'm going to get frustrated, and I'm going to, like, go off to the left and drop down. When I do that, that's because I'm attempting to unload the lava pillar room, and it's not enough to just unload it. You also need to shoot at it and check to make sure its collision is unloaded, because it's two separate things whether a room's textures aren't loaded, or whether a room is loaded at all, meaning its collision is still there. The game still thinks it's there, you just can't see it, which is another thing we saw in the vent shaft video that again comes into play here. And that having that been said, you can read out your team now.
No, that's fine. Again, I'm glad that you are explaining this, because it doesn't make much sense to me, but I'm sure that it's going to be useful for someone out there.
Programmatically, I actually kind of see how it makes sense, but one way or another.
Alright, so, but yeah, the team I'm using is one bad Pokemon from each generation, and bad is kind of a loose term here.
It's pretty subjective, too. Like, there's some objectivity to it, but...
Gen 6 doesn't really have any bad stuff.
That was the hardest one.
And 5 has very few, especially, like, when I'm trying to use stuff I haven't used before, and I've already used, like, Watchog and Maractus and those kinds of shitty things. So, what I ended up with is Ditto, specifically just a regular one that doesn't have its hidden ability. It is called Ladasha, L-E-A. Then there is Delibird, which is Bad Santa. Love Disc, which kind of goes into a different story because also while we were recording this footage, I managed to chain fish up 2 shiny Love Discs because I already had one, but it wasn't good enough for my standards. I had to get another. So like I'm like, I've got one here, but it's a male one. I want a female one. So I go out and I'm like, you know what? I bet I can find another shiny Love Disc.
If I'm going to use shit Pokemon, they're going to be the best shit Pokemon I can find.
Yeah, it was stupid. So I did find 2 other ones. Ended up using a male one anyway. But so I've got a shiny Love Disc called Heart of Gold. Then there is Sandy Wormadam, which is called Cookie Dough. Liepard, which is called Airhead. And then Dedenne, which is called Little Green, which is the best freaking nickname.
Little Green has nothing to do with it.
I like Little Green. It's the best nickname.
And how's your team worked out so far? I remember you telling me that the Liepard was surprisingly useless.
It really kind of is. Let's see. Ditto is really kind of shit in most cases because it's always going to take a hit at the start of a turn. Whether non-transformed or afterwards, it's going to take a hit no matter what. And that already basically puts it at a disadvantage because it's basically just going to be a version of whatever it's fighting with less HP and less PP. So that's kind of Ditto's problem. I've been able to make it work in some cases, but I usually have to abuse healing items. Delibird's actually not too bad, surprisingly. Its main issue is, of course, that it only learns one move, but it can learn a lot of TMs, and Gen 6 has infinite TM usage, so it's not so bad. Mm-hmm. The one I'm using has Hustle, so it has reduced accuracy, but higher attack, so I have Aerial Ace, because that's a 100% accuracy move, and then just kind of some other stuff. It's kind of meh, but it's not terrible.
Right, it's not bad, it's just that it's very bland and not outstanding.
Yeah. Love Disc is pretty much what you'd expect. It's pretty shit. I actually don't use it all that often because it seems to gain experience faster than everything else. Probably because it's, like, it and the Ditto are both traded. That's another thing, actually, because I had to start the game with a low-level Ditto, and X and Y have them in the Friend Safari, which is level 30, and they have them in the Pokemon Village at, like, level 50, so I couldn't really do either of those. They're also in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, but they're still, like, level 50 in those. So I basically had to catch one in Soul Silver and then transfer it up 2 generations in order to get one at a reasonable level.
And so doing that is a pretty big pain, right?
Yeah, kinda.
Also, I just want to mention right here, that drop I just did, that's the one I'm trying to use to get that room over there to unload, which I can see it still hasn't, but... Oh, wait, unless it did. Oh, no, it did. It did unload. Yeah, that did it.
Huh, okay.
Yeah, because it used to be over toward where I'm firing. That's right. Anyway, go ahead.
Okay. But yeah, the Love Disc, I have it with Attract and Sweet Kiss, so that basically, if I fight something where it could actually use Attract, then it basically reduces it to a 25% chance of hitting. But getting it to that point is still kind of a challenge because this thing dies in like 2 hits.
It dies to a stiff breeze.
Yeah, and I gave it Scald because the burn chance is good, and I was running Hydro Pump for a while. I think I switched out for Blizzard, though.
Get a little bit of variety.
Yeah. Wormadam is probably the best one. No, actually, I take that back. It's solid. I'll say that much. It's a lot better than you'd think, but only because it's surrounded by a bunch of losers. So it is somewhat bulky, and it has a decent moveset. I've got, like, it has a... I think I just got the Earthquake TM, but it was running, like, Bulldoze before that. I think Bug Bite, like Rock Slide, I don't remember. It's some kind of generic physical moveset, but it worked. Liepard dies immediately to, like, anything, because it has no defensive stats. It has a lot of speed and attack, but that basically just means if it can manage to kill something, then good for it, but it's usually not going to. And then, Dedenne is probably the best one on the team, just because Gen 6 doesn't really have anything bad. It's still not a superstar by any means, but it holds its own and is pretty much better than anything else I'm using.
And that's an interesting thing, because I would think that there are certain things in 6th gen that just at first glance would be shitty, but their base stats aren't.
Yeah, Diggersby is apparently pretty good, but I hate it, and I wouldn't use it anyway. I've heard that Vivillon's alright, and I mean, that's the early route, normal and bug out of the way, and those are usually going to be the worst ones.
Yeah.
The only other ones that were really bad are, like, Carbink, and, was there even anything else besides Carbink?
There was one other thing we were looking at, I just don't remember what it was.
I know there's, like, Slurpuff and Aromatisse, but I don't know if either of those are bad.
Those aren't particularly bad, no. They're not good or
There's
particularly
Furfrou,
great.
which has really good defense. There's Meowstick, which I think is okay. I don't know.
I don't remember. We actually did look at lists of these, though, and actually, like,
Yeah.
try to, as objectively as possible, determine, you know, what's the worst choice here. I do like, though, that even though 6th gen we actually had a hard time with because it was just kind of a toss-up between several things, Gen 3 just was, like, hands down,
Gen 3
no
is
choice.
so full of shit. It is so bad.
It was,
and
but
I
like,
hate to say that because I like Gen 3.
I do, too. It's one of my favorites. But at the same time, didn't we determine that, like, even though it's completely full of shit, Love Disc is, like, just hands down the worst?
I'm pretty sure it is.
I remember us not having any difficulty.
No, there was no difficulty. And I mean, I picked Love Disc because I knew I had the shiny one, but if I hadn't picked that, it was going to probably be Spinda. Because Spinda's pretty fucking bad. There's Delcatty, there's Volbeat and Illumis.
I don't think Linoon is particularly great.
I think Linoon's actually okay.
Oh, is it?
It's not anything to write home about, but it's decent. There's Myena, there's Beautifly, Dustox, Masquerain. Just, there's so many bad Pokemon in Gen 3. It's kind of awesome. And that's the other thing, is Gen 2 has some really bad shit in it, too, but I was kind of dedicated to using Delibird because it's just kind of known for being completely useless.
Which is a shame, because Unknown is a pretty good contender.
Yeah, Unknown is the worst, without a question, but I didn't use it because with the other stuff, I can at least be somewhat creative. Unknown, I'd basically just have to catch one with a hidden power type that I like, and then you can't ever do anything else.
Yep. Oh my god, just fucking load the room.
It's like, oh, this thing is weak to ice. I'll send in Unknown and use hidden power ice. Like...
Well, in that case, you'd want to have one that had a hidden power that was like a good offensive type or something. But then you'd have to sit around catching Unknown and going to like either test them out in the wild to see what type they are, or taking them to that. Isn't there a guy who just tells you? I'm pretty sure there is.
There is, or I could just fight them with a Kecleon.
Oh yeah, gosh, that's a much better idea. I never thought to do that. Then again, I've never really seriously tried to gather Unknown by their hidden power type.
Yeah, I've gathered them by their shape many times.
I have to.
Because I have the full collection of all the shapes in... Let's see. I have the full collection in Pearl. I had a full collection in Soul Silver, which I think I moved to a different game. Gen 5 didn't have any. I have a full collection in Omega Ruby. I did have a full collection back in the original Silver before I lost that game. And I also have the Pokemon Ranch full of 500 of the damn things, because I had to catch all those to get Mew.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. One day I will do a playthrough of only Unknown. It'll be awesome.
It'll be the best. It's too bad we won't have another P. P was the best.
P was pretty good. had Roar of Time.
I believe we've talked about P before.
Yeah, pretty sure we did. Yeah. Just it was from Platinum, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, our Platinum run.
Yeah, randomized Platinum. All I remember it having was Roar of Time. I know it had other stuff though.
Alright, so now that we've reached the monitor station, I just want to mention this room is one of the worst, and it's weird. As a matter of fact, I think the rest of the video is just me attempting to climb this damn room. Here's why. I'm pointing at the Chore tunnel here because my first thought is, the door's right here, I'll just do that. Problem. You can't go, at least as near as I can tell, you can't go through the Chore tunnel this way because there's no really good way to unload the previous room and get into the Chore tunnel. Instead, what you have to do is go through the Warrior Shrine and access it that way. Because I don't remember. There was a specific reason for it, and I don't remember it very well, but I know it had something to do...
this part now.
It had something to do with the way the previous room unloads, and so you were just kind of forced to do it this way. Pretty much the rest of the video is just going to be me attempting to climb up to the Warrior Tunnel up here, and that's where this segment of the video is going to end. And then the next one's going to pick up with me up there trying to get into it, which is a lot of footage that I'll just go ahead and cut out, but, yeah. Anyway, just in case we don't realize the video's about to end while we're talking, I just wanted to mention that this is pretty much where it's going to end, more or less, but we can... As a matter of fact, I don't remember why I kept this in.
It was important.
It really wasn't, because I think it's just like 4 minutes of, 4 minutes of me attempting to wall jump. I don't remember. One way or another.
So I've got the list of Crystal Randomized nicknames open.
All right, let's tear through it.
Let's have some fun times with these. So, as with the last one I read out, I'm not going to bother saying what every Pokemon is, because most of the time it's entirely irrelevant anyway. So, we've got Ampersand, which actually I do want to talk about a bit, because that was the starter, Larvitar, and this fucking Larvitar, it could not do anything.
Even more so,
I did stick with it. I did stick with it the entire game.
I'm very glad you did.
It almost became kind of good at the end, but still not really.
No, I think it had shit IVs.
It just had a terrible moveset.
Oh, is that what it was?
Well, that and it was that, and every time I tried to use it, I'd run into something that randomly carried a water move and killed it.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I would always try to use it against stuff that I figured it could survive against, and I'd find the bee drill that has hydro pump or some stupid shit like that.
Well, it's sad because he has rock as one of his types, which is one of the worst defensive types.
Yeah. So anyway, then we've got Mittens, Eggy Bagfuck, which I think was a repeat from one of your playthroughs.
Yeah.
There's...
The pause is important. That's actually part of the name.
Yeah, its name is... There's 8 spaces, and then just EH.
Yeah.
That was the Pichu that I used for, cut.
Yeah, it was our cut slave.
Alright, then there's Small Rhydon, Smoke Seed, Dreamworks, Trumpy, Deerse, Broadway, Cease, which is capital S, lowercase e, capital S.
Cease.
I don't know how to say this one. The Bellsprout.
Oh.
It is left parenthesis, colon, O, minus, semicolon, minus, left parenthesis. It's basically a really bad ASCII Bellsprout.
It was the best. Its name is just itself.
Yep, then there's Oi Oi Sisiba, Everyone Fop, Mozambique, Slow Beef, which was my shiny Aerodactyl. That came out of the Odd Egg. Then there's Ratatoing, Imhotep, Wild Bill.
Imhotep was a Weezing.
Yes. And then there was Wild Bill,
Wild
the
Bill.
Octillery, and then, like, immediately afterwards, there was a Tauros, which is the Wild Bull Pokemon, so it was very unfitting. But, so we've got Wild Bill, Butterdaw, Crotchberg, Glove Flave, another one of my favorites, Boop.
But we made fun of that throughout the entire game. That guy,
We did,
That guy stuck
because-
with us the entire game. He's a Grimer.
Yeah, because Grimer's Crystal Sprite has the stupidest face.
It does. It's just got this wide open mouth.
You look at the sprite, and then you go, boop, and
Yep.
it just fits perfectly.
It looks like that's what he's just trying to say. Just boop.
I love that thing. Ooh, and here's another one of my favorites, The Store. Just Stoar, The Store. That was my
Store.
Charmeleon that I used for Flash.
Charmeleon, that we used for Flash, and that's it.
I think it also had, like, Rock Smash.
Did it?
But,
I thought Butterdaw had Rock Smash.
Oh, yeah, Butterdaw did have Rock
I'm
Smash.
pretty sure
I think-
Charmander was just Flash.
No, actually, I think I used it for, like, Whirlpool. It was, like, some really random TM.
I
or
don't
HM.
remember.
But yeah, so there was The Store, then there's Fizzbitch, Small Leg, Bubblegum Rossi, which, despite being an Action 52 reference, is actually not a legendary. It was Ditto. Pizza Rolls, You the Grub, Holla, Not Really, Full of Shit, which was a Starmie.
Yep.
We called it that because its Pokedex entry said that it, like, gathers radio waves from space. And we're like, this thing's full of shit.
Yeah, something absolutely ridiculous, and we're like, you know what, Starmie, you're full of shit.
Yep. Okay, then there's Torgo, Bubsy, Ho Shit, which was a Ho-Oh that I found by breaking a rock in Cianwood City.
That was the best.
Yup.
We were very surprised to see it.
Scizzes, Turlet Bowl, Megalonia, which was a Zapdos, which I believe replaced Suicune.
Yeah, it did.
I wrote down Lugia as being the replacement for Ho-Oh, but I don't have the nickname for it written down.
Was that true? Did Lugia replace Ho-Oh?
I think it did. It's listed as Tin Tower.
Oh, no, yeah, it did. Did we actually give it a nickname?
I don't know. I assume we did.
I don't know.
It doesn't matter. It's probably just some Action 52.
Yeah,
thing.
it was just an Action
Alright.
52 game, I'm sure.
So then we've got Akalakak. A really, really bad job at abbreviating Fairchild Channel F. It is FARCHLDCHF. Ann Cracker, Garbitch, Henry Zhao, which was a Dragonair,
Of course.
Polytoad, which is nicknamed Can't Do, and this is because of some stupid reason. Like, I could explain it, but it's not really that interesting, I guess.
Okay.
Dr. Dre, Obamacare, Krampus, Chill Out, which was the Articuno that replaced Lugia. Let's see, we've got Time Warner, Beached Whale, Chad Warden, Effing Waste. That was an APOM. Here, I actually have to explain this one.
I don't remember the story behind that one.
I was looking for Celebi because I had encountered one in a trainer battle at some point and wanted to catch one and saw that it was on this route. So I went into the grass really hoping I'd find one, and I found an Apom, and I'm like, this thing's a fucking waste, so I called it effing
That's
waste.
right. Hold on, before you continue the list, it looks like the video is actually about to end, and I'm so glad the last 4 minutes was just nothing. But in the future, I'll be more diligent about editing these. But yeah, it's about to end, so I think I'm just going to go ahead and cut it here, and we'll pick up, wherever we left off next time.
Okay.